Good morning, everyone that's on. It's now 9:55. It's good to see so many of you early. The early bird gets the worm. You got to get up real early in order to get the bird. So we'll start at 10 o'clock.
Okay, I see it says JP, but JP's not listening.
Josh, can you hear me?
We can hear you speaking now. And Mr. Glenn is joining us, so.
What's up, Bishop? Can you hear me, Marvin?
Hey, Mr. Glenn.
Hey, how you doing? Is that David?
Yeah.
All right. How you doing?
It look like Marvin has audio.
Marvin has what?
It said, doesn't look like he has audio. He has video, but no audio. Marvin, you might have to hit in the lower left, I think there that says audio or joined by audio. Are you on your phone, Marvin, or?
All right, Jay, what's up?
Hey, Mr. Everett.
All right, how you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Good. What's going on, D Nice?
I'm Mr. Everett.
All right, how you doing?
Hi's connecting right now.
Good. What's going on, Boogie?
What's up, Mr. Glenn?
Hey, man, you sound like Barry White. What you been doing, Boogie?
I just be at home.
Okay. Yeah, you got that big old deep radio voice. For those of you who are, Marvin raised his hand, Marcus, so I guess we do have the feature, raise your hand.
Okay.
But I don't know I don't know how to respond to it. It looks like he's connecting to audio now.
Yeah, let me see. I made you a co-host, Everett, so you could help. I mean, at least see what I see, pretty much. But let me see, did Marvin get audio?
He's raising his hand. I don't know.
I think he's trying to, you mean his physical hand or?
Well, I see a note at the bottom and saying on the screen saying he's raising his hand. Plus, I see him raising his hand.
Okay, let me see.
And everybody who's on, why don't you put your video on, right, so we can see you guys. You can stay mute, but at least connect your video so we can see you. What's going on, Ryder?
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing? Mateo, Jacob, Andrew, what's up? What's going on, Donovan? What's up, Joshua?
What's up?
Jacob, how you doing, man? Say, Jacob, we got the same shirt on.
What's up?
Jacob, you got good taste. Yeah, you see?
Yeah, many of these guys were on at like a quarter till, Everett.
Oh, I know. One kid called me at 9 o'clock. Bishop, you got your audio yet?
No, I don't see it.
Looked like at one point it was saying it was connecting to audio. Let me see.
Well, I don't have his phone number, otherwise I would call him. Oh.
I'm Caleb, just so you know.
Bishop, answer your phone, man. What's up, Jay? Yes. So you able to connect your audio? Oh, I don't know, but you can. So say something on the screen. I hang up then. Okay, I hang up. Well, say something on the screen. Hey, Marvin, say something. Marvin, talk up.
He may need to just disconnect and connect again. I don't know if it's his equipment or what.
No, we're still trying to. Marvin is trying to. Marvin, speak up, man. He's not tech savvy.
All right, click there then. Okay, open. All right.
What's happening?
He's showing me, but I don't even understand that. I've never seen that before. I think he may.
No, don't sign in.
Don't sign in, he's saying.
I'll have to sign in.
Huh?
Try to get the Zoom app and then just join from the link. You only have to sign in if you're the host.
All right.
So what is all of this stuff on the
He's showing
screen?
the screen.
Somebody's sharing this screen. They need to stop sharing this screen.
No, that's Marvin. They're trying to help him
Oh,
get in. One of the other young men was helping him. Okay.
Try to get it on your phone. That might be easier. But you don't have to sign in because to be a host, you have to be of age.
And we appreciate everybody's patience while we try to get our guest speaker on.
Can you hear me?
Everett asked everybody to enable their video, but they can mute themselves so that he can see you. Please. You there, Everett?
I'm here.
I don't know how we're going to get Marvin in. I texted him to call.
So, I mean, but how can he not be getting audio? Because all you do is when you sign on, you get audio.
I don't know, but apparently he found a way. Did you talk to him?
Yeah, I'm calling him now.
Yeah, tell him to just click the link that you sent him.
Bishop. Yeah, why don't you just log off and try to log back in? I don't know, because you don't have to do anything to get audio. You just can click on if you want your audio from your computer, or you got to dial in a number. Do you have the number to dial in? Excuse me? I know you get the link, but then you have to make a choice whether you want to use your computer audio or your phone. Yeah, that's what everybody else is doing. I mean, but you don't have to. You can call in, but if you have speakers, yeah, so you can do your audio from your computer. Or just leave the meeting and then come back in the meeting. Okay. All right.
Mr. Glenn,
Uh-huh.
I got another growth spurt.
You have another what?
Growth spurt. I'm 6'1" now.
I can't hear you. Another what, Dave?
A growth spurt. I'm 6'1".
You're 6'1". Oh, wow. I look at you, I see. and Chauncey, it sounds like Barry White. So things are changing. What's going on, Memphis? How you doing?
Doing good, Mr. Glenn. And
Hey,
you?
hey, and David is with us. All right. How you doing, David?
I'm good.
Good. Good. Pop's joining us. Is Pop joining us, David?
Yes, he's right here.
Oh, okay. What's going on, man?
Can't
Hello,
see
sir.
you at all.
Hey, how you doing?
Not in there.
I know. Okay. More? Unless you want
You gotta turn this way.
I see Marvin came back on, but he still got the same problem.
Shit.
You might just have to call Marvin. You might just have to call in on your phone to the phone number in that email.
Let me hold up.
At the bottom left corner of the screen, it might say join audio.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of computer setup he has. He may not have a microphone in his computer setup. So that's the problem. But if he has a
I
phone,
take headphones to it.
if he has a phone, he can call in and stay connected with his computer so we can see him, but at least we can hear him. You call that number.
Yeah. Why don't you dial the number and see if that works to call in by phone? It's 1669. We see you. We don't hear you. We see you, and you don't dial in. You just click on the link. Jesus Christ. Oh, man.
So has anybody been outside?
Yard work.
All right.
I'm only for like a mile run.
I went outside yesterday and ran a mile.
Yeah, I got to do the lawn today, my wife was saying. Well, it's a reminder to check with them before, the day before. He was on last time.
So can we hear you now, Marvin? Are you talking on the phone? Get one of your kids, man. Marvin. I see you down there now, Marvin. I see you moving your mouth. I don't hear you though. I'm gonna leave the meeting and go back in and see what.
So how's school? Anybody got any experiences being online?
It's
Everett, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Marvin?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, we can.
You can't see me, obviously, though. Wait a minute.
Obviously.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, and we can see you too.
You can hear me and see me.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Wow, man. I hit that *6, so let's see what happens. I don't see anybody. I just see my picture, so I don't know what that's about.
Okay.
Okay.
But let's move forward. I got you in my mind, so that's all that matters.
All right, well, we'll work it out ahead of time next time.
Okay, I got you. I see you. All right, guys.
Everett?
Yes, yes. Okay.
Yes.
So, now is Wade on?
No.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah. I'll text him.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I got everybody here. I'm trying to find Wade now, I assume. I don't know why.
Are you on? And you joined by your audio from your computer or what? Okay, so you maybe push *6 or something to maybe unmute you? I'm not sure.
Oh, wow, man. Incredible here, man.
Wade on the Everett?
All righty.
I'm not sure. I would leave it.
Everett, can you still hear me?
I can hear you, Marvin. Yes.
Okay. Now we trying to find Wade.
Now Wade is on. We're just trying to figure out who is too fast.
Yeah, I can hear you guys, but very faintly, so I might have to listen.
I just admitted you to the meeting. Okay, now, but I don't know where you are on the screen. Let me see here. We got a bunch of people.
Is that Wade?
Yeah.
What's his phone number? Is he by phone?
Well, do you have the speaker on your computer?
Tell you what.
I said, I don't know.
Okay. That's a lot better for me.
Well, try to dial in, and so we can hear you then. See if we can do that if you dial in. You have the number to dial in? Okay, well, I'll hang up and you try to dial in. Okay. Yeah, bear with us, guys. We're almost there.
Yeah.
What's up, AJ? Is that, which AJ is that? Is that Antoine or?
Yeah, it's Antoine.
Hey, what's going on, man? All right.
Right.
Welcome back.
Forward.
Now, who is Peaches? Who's that laughing? Is Noah, you Peaches?
No, that's not me.
No, my name is Michael Young, and I'm using my mom's computer.
Oh, okay, okay. That's right. No problem. We're just asking. How you doing, man?
I'm
Oh, are
doing.
you on, Wade? Can you say something? Bishop, you still there?
I'm right here.
I'm right here.
Everett, can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, okay. So Wade,
All right, all right.
Bishop, do you
Well, we're
have
gonna make it
We're gonna
work.
make it work.
Bishop?
I need to pick that 6-out mic. You got a feedback going on.
Yeah, Bishop, I
Yeah.
think you have your phone on and your computer. Wade joining? Someone was just joined.
Okay, can you guys activate your video so I can see everybody on the screen?
I don't know how to activate my, or it's like when I'm clicking the
And then just
video,
go to your picture in the
it's not letting
square,
me.
and you see those 3 dots?
Yeah.
Okay, if you click on those, and then it says start video.
Yeah. I'm trying to, like, when I click it, it doesn't do anything.
Is everybody else having the same problem? Because we see a lot of people.
No, I'm on my phone.
Oh, so if you're on your phone, that might be a problem. I'm not sure.
Uh.
Do it on phone.
Andrew says his computer has no camera.
Ah, okay. Okay, so that's better right there. Yes, I can get a picture of everybody. Kobe, can you put your video on?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to start my video, but it's not working.
Okay. And what about AJ? Your video is not working? There you go. So where's Wade? Wade, are you around?
No, we don't have him at all. If he is, *6 may unmute your phone if you're on.
Okay. So one thing we learned, we should have done this before with these guys.
Yeah, we will. Okay. So,
So I don't even know how to join the call without joining the meeting.
you dial in that phone number, and it's going to ask you for the meeting ID and then the passcode.
You dial that number, and you don't get prompted to do anything?
Yeah.
They don't ask for no passcode or meeting ID or anything?
Yes, it's going to ask you for that, the passcode and the meeting ID and the
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So are you on a computer? Yeah, see, I don't know how it works on phones. I know it doesn't work as well on phones. So I joined the meeting last night on the phone, and I couldn't do nothing. I just was listening to what they were doing. I couldn't even see myself on there. Okay, so all right, so we might improvise. I might tell my story, Marvin, and then you might do the same thing.
All right. That'll work.
Okay, wait, we'll check back. Okay, so you want to do that, Marv?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so most of you guys, well, not most of you guys, but a lot of you guys know I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Okay, I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was born into what they call the hood, right? Not unlike the hood is today, except in Cleveland, Ohio, it was a little bit different because the sun don't shine every day in Cleveland like it does in California. So the city is weather beaten. It looks like a bomb has been dropped on my neighborhood. I go back to my neighborhood now, it looks like they dropped a bomb on it. It's every other house has been torn down. It's not the kind of place that you would think nurtures success, right? And so what I did, I played sports from the time I could walk as a way to stay out of trouble and to make friends. So I played baseball, I played basketball, I played football from Pee Wee. And then in the 6th grade, just like they do now, they give standardized tests, at different levels of your academic career. So in the 6th grade, I scored the highest on the city in Cleveland on this standardized test, right? And so they said that, so most of you guys haven't seen me with no beard, right? This is the Corona effect. So I scored the highest of everybody in the city on this standardized test. And so they said, this kid has got some promise, right? And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take him out of the inner city and we're gonna put him in these academic enrichment programs like BOSS, starting in the 6th grade. So in the 6th grade, I spent 6 weeks at Oberlin College, living in the dorms, going to class, doing that whole thing, just like it was regular school. 6th grade, 7th grade, I spent 6 weeks at John Carroll University. And then 8th grade, I spent 6 weeks at university school. Now, mind you, I played baseball, basketball, and football. But when I came up in the early 70s, we didn't have travel ball. We didn't have, we played basketball we played football from September to about November, December. Basketball started around that time till the spring, and then in the spring we played baseball. And so you could manage all of that stuff and still get your grades in. And that's what's the most important thing to me, because I never was trying to go pro in sports, even though I played all sports all the time. I decided, there was a guy named Mark McCormick who started the company called IMG, and he was the first guy to represent professional athletes. He went to Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, who were then the 2 greatest golfers of all time. And he convinced them that he could help them make money off the golf course, because in golf, the only way you make money is if you win the tournament. So you could play in a bunch of tournaments, and if you don't win, you don't make any money. And he came to them and he said, well, I can, you can promote products and all kind of stuff. And this guy was living in Cleveland, Ohio. So I was a kid watching this guy revolutionize an industry. And then it went from Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. He would later represent Tiger Woods and some of the greatest names in modern sports. And so I decided from watching this guy, you know, I said, well, wait a minute, now this guy, he don't even live where these guys come from. I mean, I don't even know how he gets them. And now Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, perhaps. But then they start representing all these basketball players and all these football players. And I said to myself, now if that guy can do that, I can do that. Okay, and so from that point forward, I was on a mission to prepare myself to do what I saw Mark McCormick do. And so I found out Mark McCormick was a lawyer, so I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go to law school then. And so after college, I went to law school, and then I just worked on becoming a good lawyer and also gaining the confidence, because I had never, I mean, I thought, you know, I was raised, you go to school, you get education, you go to work for somebody else. That was just the way it is. The idea that you would start a business was foreign, because nobody in the community I saw starting businesses other than little grocery store up at the corner and that kind of thing. And so I practiced law for about 6 or 7 years at one of the largest law firms in the world, representing Levi Strauss, who would later become the owner of the Oakland A's, and representing Wells Fargo Bank and Atari and all of these Fortune 500 companies doing transactions of a type I never even understood when I was growing up. I never even knew this kind of stuff. You know, I read about it, but I never thought I would be doing it. I would be doing a $500 million merger, or selling shale oil over in Wilmington. You guys may know shale oil. They sell the smokestacks. So we sold that to Tesoro for over $1 billion. We represented shale oil in that transaction. So I was doing stuff that, you know, guys I grew up with didn't understand, had never done, that I had never done, understood. But I identified this guy, Mark McCormick, when I was younger, just like a lot of you guys may identify, you want to be like Michael Jordan. I want to be like Mark McCormick. And so that's the path I followed. And so I went to college, went to law school, and got a job at big firms, and just worked on my craft. But again, now I come from nothing. You know, my dad was an alcoholic. Mom had a high school education. So I was navigating in a world that was totally foreign to me. And I didn't have anybody in my family that I could reach out to for advice or counsel. So I had to identify other people, older people who had more experience than me, to help me navigate this process. I mean, I had nobody in my family. I was the first guy in my family to go to college. So they couldn't even help me. How do you apply to college? But, and my dad was an alcoholic, so he wasn't signing nothing, obligating himself to pay anything for my college education. So I had to forge signatures and do whatever I had to do to move forward. And I did all of that, and became a pretty good lawyer. And at first I practiced in Ohio with one of the biggest firms in Ohio. So I'm a member of the Ohio bar. And then when I moved out here to California, I had to take the California bar. And so I passed the Ohio bar on the first sitting, because you can take it as many times as it takes you to pass it. And Jesus Christ, people are not looking at emails. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Everett, can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you now.
All right, I finally
Just
figured
wait.
it out.
Okay. Okay. Well, we can. Okay. So Marv, let me introduce. Marcus, let me introduce Marvin, And okay, and then we can go to Wade. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll pick up on my story.
Yeah.
Maybe another time. You got RJ on here with his dreads and everything he featured. So Marvin Bishop, who's joined us on the phone, Marvin and I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and actually Wade Manning, who you guys will hear from, grew up in Cleveland, Ohio as well. Marvin is a couple years my junior. We both played basketball against each other. You know, we used to crush them. That got his attention there. And but he would go on to use basketball to go to college, and then he became a student of these I guess folk who pursue greatness. Okay, that became a passion of his. What do you have to do? What does it take? Is there a formula? Is there a strategy to achieve greatness? And so once we connected and I found out that's what he was about, then it became a natural, because I was working with these pro athletes like Clark Kellogg and Willie Gault and Jerry Rice and Richard Dent and Reggie White and Gil Byrd and John L. Williams, these guys in the Hall of Fame. And the reason I got into the business of representing them was that I wanted to make a change in their life. I didn't want to just help them make money. I wanted to show them how to take this 15 minutes of fame and turn it into a lifetime of good fortune. And with the principles that Marvin shared with me, that he's going to share with you guys about how do you get from good to great? How do you get from failing to great? And there's some principles that apply universally that if you guys can internalize those principles now, because you guys don't even understand the advantage that you had, because I didn't have nobody when I was in the 7th and 8th and 6th and 9th grade putting these principles in me. Because if I had these principles in me at that time, considering what I did without the principles, I might own the NFL. I might be running the NFL if I had these principles in me in that time.
That's right.
Yeah. And so without any further ado, I'll let Marvin tell his own story, but some of you guys have talked to him on calls before, but he's a motivational speaker, performance coach, who's gained national recognition for his work in personal development leadership, but most important around his work around success and peak performance. And so I saw Kenan members on his phone. Kenan, you remember when we met them NFL Hall of Famers, and Darryl Green and Aeneas Williams, and they just talked about going hard, like maximum effort, maximum effort. You remember that, Kenan? You got to put maximum effort. And if you do that, and if you internalize those things now, you're going to increase your chances for success in the future. So without any further ado, let me introduce to you guys Marvin, Dr. Marvin Bishop.
All right. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you, Mr. Glenn. It's an honor to be here, but I have a confession I have to make. I'm jealous. You guys are so young, getting this kind of information. Let me tell you what I found out in my years on this planet. What separates the great from the average is information and how to utilize it. I had the privilege yesterday of talking to a former executive of Mattel Toy Company and trying to arrange for him to come and speak to you guys. This is what he told me. He said they need to know that it's at this age, 12, 13, 14, where their life is going to be changed and set. So I say this to you before we call this young man, Mr. Manning, to speak to you, that you guys gather as much of this information as you can, because this is what I can assure you. If you get this information that boss is giving you on a consistent basis, this information inside of you, your life will never be the same again. You won't have the problems that the average American have, because this is what we know. 80% of the people will always struggle, have hard times. But them peak performers, those 20% of people that have access to this information and use it, there'll always be a job for you. There'll always be room for you, be it on the team, in the business, or whatever your desires are. Do not take this information lightly, because once it's inside you, it will guide you, it'll talk to you, it'll lead you. This young man that I had the privilege of presenting, Mr. Wade Manning, I met him years ago, and when I first met him, I had a problem with him because he kind of knocked me off a pedestal that I was on when he walked into my classroom where I was the king of the math class. And I mean, he just blew it out the water. But life being what it is, we end up being best of friends. Mr. Manning's story about his rise into the professional ranks and parlaying that into being a professional in the business world is something different. Mr. Manning came from the impossible. That his story is incredible because he was not supposed to did. And what's important isn't so much what he did and how he got into the NFL when there was no doors open for him, but it's how he did it and what his mindset was. I hope all of you have pencil and paper, because we're going to dissect this journey from this young man who rose from a humble beginning from a place called Reedville, Pennsylvania. Then he moved up to a place called Cleveland, Ohio, to a life inside the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys when they were America's team. What that means, every Sunday, no matter who was playing, you was going to watch the second game with the Dallas Cowboys, who last count probably he played with 15 to 20 Hall of Famers on that team. Not talking about when he moved on to the Denver Broncos, and year after year he turns to Cleveland in support of his friends and former players that is going into the Hall of Fame. Not ladies, but gentlemen, let me say this to you, that this young man has 100% of the information. He loves helping people. He has a heart of gold. And let me present to you Wade Manning.
Thank you, Marvin. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm checking because, we kind of computer challenged because we old.
That's right. That's right.
So it took me a minute to figure it out on my phone. I did realize that I didn't have a camera on my tabletop computer, and I was like, oh man, now I was on the call like 5 minutes before it started, but nobody could hear me. But I could see Darius, I could see Christian, I could see Everett, I could see Marvin. Okay, I could see everybody, but everybody couldn't see me. But anyway.
Hey, now Wade, before you get started, we got Lawrence Jackson jumped in, and Marcus, if you could somehow pull Lawrence up. He wanted to say hello to the kids. Lawrence is a current guy in the league. I don't know where he is on the screen, but I see him right there. Yeah, there you go.
I just wanted to pop in and say good morning. Can you guys hear me clearly and everything?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you all for having me. Thank you, Marvin, for setting this up. And I first would like to commend you, young man, on even being in this call on a Saturday this early and making this investment into yourselves. I wanted to, encourage you all. I, don't have much experience in knowing, exactly where you all are on your journeys, but I have a general idea of, what you guys going through with the work that I do in the community, and just from lived experience. I I'm born and raised in Inglewood, California. I live back in Inglewood right now, back to the business. And, I've been through a lot. I've had, friends who've been killed, friends who kill people, friends who are in jail. We just had a shooting like 400 feet away from my house yesterday. It was so close that it sounded like our daughter was knocking on the door, but it was gunshots. And so, I know what the struggle is, and, I know some of the obstacles that we go through as men of color. And I just want to let you guys know, as somebody who's, had a chance to go to college, had a chance to go off to the NFL, and retire from the NFL. One thing that I want to let you guys know is that it is possible to achieve your dreams, right? The dreams that we have aren't just related to sports. I use sports to get where I am now, doing a lot of community work, on the verge of opening a very, very creative business. And I think that with understanding what football did for me, and the understanding that, my parents didn't have the ability to pay for college for me, and I wouldn't know various CEOs of, different companies and presidents, and like, Fox and, ESPN, and, Mike Strahan is my mentor. Marcellus Wiley is my mentor, and Dominican Sue is my best friend. I know the guys over at Brand Jordan, mentor Design Jordans. So like, football has given me access to a lot of different things, but that's what I used to think. It wasn't football, but it was who I was as a football player that opened up a lot of these doors for me. And, it doesn't matter how good you are and what your dreams and ambitions are, sport will end for all of you, and you have to be ready for that first day, and on day one, you need to hit the ground running. And with that, it's important to understand that the man makes the athlete. The athlete doesn't make the man, right? So
That's
when you
right.
see Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, you guys look up there, like, the mindset of Kobe Bryant, the mindset of Michael Jordan, and understand, what they're really talking about, right? These guys are giving us a working example through sport of how to tackle and fight life. The same principles that make Michael Jordan the greatest competitor are the same principles that make you compete and fight and overcome obstacles in life.
That's right.
Just look and not see sports as a journey and a change and transform you and develop you into this, weapon. Like, there's nothing, I was very, very, hard to keep attention, school, very, intellectually curious, things like that. But football was able to grab my attention and teach me lessons that nothing else in life would be able to teach me, and I'm immensely thankful for that. But guys, I'm 34 years old. It's 2020. I retired. My last full season was 2012. In 2013, I went to the Minnesota Vikings, not to make the team, but to see Jared Allen in person, who we played the same position, so I could be comfortable leaving the game behind. I haven't had any income since my signing bonus, which was $60,000 from Minnesota in 2013. Okay, and the things that I've been able to do have been determined by who I was as a person within football.
That's right.
To be able to go 7.5, 8 years, invest in companies, build companies, invest in myself, buy property, get married, start a family, all without getting a single check for the last 7 years shows you the power of what sport can do. That has allowed me the time to read and research and do things that I would not have been able to do. It allowed me to buy my time back, right? When you have capital like that from sport, the higher goal isn't to spend this money, it's to acquire your time back, to go back and be who you wanted to be when you didn't have those opportunities. I'm living a life of being able to do things that I wanted to do when I was you guys' age. My parents didn't have the money. I didn't have the resources, different things like that. Football allowed me to do all of these things and, you know, get a great college education and be able to not only transform my life, but help, you know, my mom, my dad, my brother who didn't graduate from college and everything. And so, you know, sport is beautiful, but understand that sport is a training ground for personal development. You're going to be people longer than you guys will be athletes.
Right.
Okay,
That's right.
you
That's
are.
what they do on
I'm
Saturday.
4 years old.
Thank you so much.
I've been retired since 2013. I am a baby. A baby. When it comes to life, like I am a baby. Okay, and I'm already done 5, 6, 7 years with the NFL. I've been in a mental hospital twice. I tried to commit suicide twice, dealing with the transition and having to overcome that. And so I know what this journey is like, and I just want to tell you guys that the easiest thing to do is to not find out the reality that awaits you if you don't do the things that, you know, people like myself and Marvin and everybody else shares with you. You guys are businesses, you guys are CEOs. If you guys aren't studying like business leadership, you know, you guys are behind the 8 ball. You guys are a business. If you guys want to get a scholarship, you guys need to understand how to build a startup, right? You guys are a startup. You have a product, your athletic ability.
That's right.
You're trying to sell that athletic ability to a college in exchange for a college education and an opportunity to make more money, right? You are in charge of this business. So you are a CEO of a startup. You know, right now, you guys are a CEO. And if you guys look at it like you're a CEO of Raymond Jenkins Inc., of Donovan Pitts Inc., of Darius Williams Inc., of Jacob Brandon Inc., of David Robbins Inc., of Jay Inc., of Mateo Inc., right? If you guys look at it like that and see sport for what it is, the transition of life will be easier. But if you guys live through sport as if sport defines you, and if you guys let the athlete create the person, right, you will experience that disappointment, that depression, that dejection. That athlete is a part of you. If you make it who you are, I'm telling you, every single athlete has to be buried. They die. Once we retire, that athlete is dead, and you will be the person that you are right now. This is the person that will be waiting for you once you are done playing, right? And if you don't develop as a person, you will be back at this point of personal development, having developed yourself athletically, but not personally. So the biggest lesson that I could give you guys, man, is take your personal development along the journey with this athletic development, because the better developed you are as a person, the more refined you will be as an athlete.
That's
and
right.
Also, one more thing, you know, I know people talk about reading and different things like that. One of my companies, I work on vision training, which is sports neurology. So I understand, like, you know, what happens, like when you see the ball and, you know, going after it, all of that, it's a brain process. And, you know, there's a lot of evidence that shows that the faster your brain processes information and the more information you're able to process, the better you'll be able to perform as an athlete, right? Sports is dual tasking. And so you do 2 things at one time. And so the easier you are able to do that primary task, the easier that secondary task will become, right? When you look at Tom Brady, one who's mastered the primary and secondary level task, right? being able to process information at a faster, that's stuff the sport. So don't think that like, oh, like I don't need to read this and that and that. Telling now before, like, and you see this information starting to come out over the next 4 or 5 years. Reading is one of the most important things to athletic performance. If you guys aren't reading, you guys aren't training your brain, which is the driver of your performance.
That's right.
Right. And so with that, I want to say thank you guys. We'll be available, you know, whenever y'all want to talk to me, whenever you need me. Marvin, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Kathy will make sure that you have all my information. Anything you guys need, man, I'm here. I committed my right to making sure gentlemen like you who want the opportunity and who want to find that path, have a path to walk, but also have the tools, the training, and the skills to make it through that journey, because it's going to be a lot of obstacles that come and try and throw you off. But, you know, you have to
that's right.
persevere. But to persevere, you have to be prepared, man. And I'm here to help you guys be prepared in addition to what, you know, Marvin is doing for you all. But, you know, I appreciate you guys for loving yourselves enough to, you know, man, it's only what, 4, 7 of y'all up in here? Y'all that much better than all of y'all friends right now. I know each of y'all got
Absolutely.
5 or 10 friends who, you know, y'all gonna get off the phone and be like, bruh, I just listened to some real stuff right now. And if y'all just would have been on this thing and gave a little bit of time on your Saturday morning, you would be that much better. And
Wow.
the last thing as I close, there's a book called Talent is Overrated.
Yes, sir.
I highly suggest you guys put in your phone, Talent is Overrated PDF, and see if they have the PDF online and download that. That will be the single greatest book for you guys to read right now. You'll understand that it doesn't matter how good you are. The difference between performance and non-performance is preparation, practice, and training.
That's
Hard work works, and hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I understand that. So I love you guys, man. If you guys need anything, if you guys have any questions, you know, I don't know what your schedule is, but, you know, that's all I really want to say to you guys. So thank you.
So much, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. And
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man.
You can go to chat and put your email and stuff, Lawrence. Put your email and email in the chat so we can follow up with you.
Okay.
Okay, so without any further ado, Too Fast, Wade, Manny. Y'all think Wade is bad? He got a brother that's bad too. I'm telling you. So Wade, tell him your story.
Yeah. Craig Morton nicknamed me Too Fast. He was the quarterback of the Denver Broncos when I got traded there. So I got stuck with that nickname. A few other brothers like Steve Atwater that's going into the Hall of Fame this year. He nicknamed me Suede Wade. Another teammate named me Speedo. I got all kind of nicknames because I could run fast. But first, I just want to thank all the young men that are on the Zoom call today. And I want you to know that you are making an investment in your future right now just because you're on this call. Just because you are willing to listen to older gentlemen and our road to success. And it's going to be a lot like your road to success. You just got to grasp it and understand it. Wade Manning. I'm 65 years old, just coming July 25th, and I'll be receiving my NFL pension. I waited and waited and waited so it would max out and I not be like a lot of my former teammates that are not getting very much retirement pay because they took it early at 45, 55. Some of them took 25% of their retirement when they retired. So now my battle I don't have COVID-19, but COVID-19 is between me and my first retirement check for the NFL. I just think that's ironic. But Marvin mentioned earlier that I was from Meadville, Pennsylvania, which is a little small community in the northwest corner of Pennsylvania. I'm proud of being from that area because Joe Namath is from that area, Tony Dorsett is from that area, Johnny Unitas is from that area, Dan Marino is from that area. I mean, it is a powerful little corner of the country. And right now, one of the best running backs in the country at Penn State, Journey Brown, he's from Meadville, Pennsylvania. So Marvin was correct when he indicated to me that Meadville is still producing athletes like that. I'm like, yep, that's a little place down in a little valley, and sports is important there. They got one of the best educational programs there. And so I'm proud to be from Meadville. I met Marvin in the 6th grade, Cleveland, Ohio. My mom and dad went through a divorce. My mom moved to Cleveland, Ohio with my stepdad, and I started going to Corlett Elementary School, and that's when I met Marvin. Marvin experienced that the Pennsylvania school system was way ahead of the Ohio school system. So when I came and became a part of his 6th grade class, I was already doing Algebra 2. And so that's why I was able to zip through that exam real quick, Marvin, because I was already 2-3 years ahead of you in math, and you didn't know that yet. Just identify with me as being a 6th grader.
Wow.
But Marvin and I finished up at Corlett Elementary School, and we went on to Jameson Junior High School. And I honestly thought I was gonna be a John F. Kennedy Eagle. And then I had a switch up in my life. My mom moved to Shaker Heights, Ohio, which was the richest suburb in the United States at that time. And so I got a chance to live in a pretty wealthy community and learn a lot about life that was different from me growing up when I was a child. I have a similar experience as Everett Glenn here, that we both went through the Special Opportunities Program at Overland College. I went through the last class, 1968. I think Everett was in the first class of 1964. And we both ended up in that program because of academic prowess. We both had done really well on the standardized test for kids in the Cleveland City schools. And we both ended up in a government program that was trying to create a situation where African-American males were not dropping out of high school and going to work in the steel mills or the car factories or just getting a job. Now, my mom only finished the 8th grade and she didn't go back. And she lived the rest of her life till she was 84 years old as not just a high school dropout, but a junior high dropout. My dad graduated from high school. He worked in the steel mills for 43 years. He's a veteran of the Navy. He literally was in World War II, and he was in Pearl Harbor when it got blown up, but he survived. He would have been 98 years old today, May 9th, 1922. So he would have turned 98 today. He died in 1990, had a stroke, and then had a heart attack that took his life. 43 years in the steel mills he worked. And from my mom working in factories all of her life and my dad working in the steel mills, I personally didn't want to have to work that hard. And my dad told me that if I didn't, I needed to get an education. And he only told me that one time. And I never, ever fought it. The biggest tip that he ever gave me as a father was pay attention to detail. And to this day, At 64 years old, I pay attention to detail. I would like you guys to pay attention to detail too, and it's going to be details about your life and where you want it to go. I have 2 brothers and a sister, and 2 went the wrong way and 2 went the right way, meaning me and my sister, we both graduated from high school. We went on to college, got our degrees. I graduated from Ohio State. My sister graduated from Metro State in Denver, Colorado. We both went on and got 2 master's degrees. We both are now retired from teaching 29, 30 years, and we have retirements there. And the other 2 did just the opposite. They graduated from high school and didn't do so well after high school because they thought they had the world by the tail, that they could do all these little negative street things. And my one brother, who Everett referred to, was unbelievable. He literally was the first LeBron James or Steph Curry in Ohio. That's how good he was at basketball. But he never really took school seriously. So he ended up signing to play professional baseball right out of high school. Well, he didn't have the discipline. He had the talent. The young man that was just on here and said, hey, talent ain't going to help you make it by itself. You're going to have to work. And he didn't have the work ethic. So as good as my brother was, after 10 years of being in the minor leagues with the Cleveland Indians, even though he was hitting 364, stole 50 bases, scored 100 runs, the Cleveland Indians released him because they didn't know when he was going to come and play, meaning apply himself. He played when he wanted to. And you can't do that with your life. So my younger brother, he went to Ohio State with me after his senior year, and he decided he was just going to party. So he flunked every class, flunked out of Ohio State. My mom said, hey, I can't afford to waste my money like that. If you're going to go back to college, then you're going to have to pay for it yourself. And my brother is going to be 62 years old, and he's still angry at my mom right now, like she did something to him. But he was the one that went down to Ohio State and decided to party and not do school. And when you don't look yourself in the mirror and go, you know what, that was my fault, instead of blaming someone else, you're going to have lots of trouble when you can't own up to the mistakes that you make. But my journey to the National Football League is a strange one. Some of you might be familiar with the movie Invincible. It was about a Philadelphia Eagles player. But this Philadelphia Eagles player simply was just a walk-on with the Philadelphia Eagles. He played high school football. He played some college football. He played some military football. And when he came home, the Philadelphia Eagles were having an all-comers tryout under the coach then, Dick Vermeil. And he made it through the tryout and went to training camp, and things worked out to where he made the team. I played against Vince in 1980. You might have heard of the movie Rudy. Rudy played high school football, wanted to go to Notre Dame and always wanted to play at Notre Dame. And he went to Notre Dame and as a walk-on, and by the time he was a senior, he got a chance to play 1 or 2 plays. He ran down the field on the kickoff coverage and played 1 play on defense. My story, in my opinion, is better than theirs. I didn't play high school football. I didn't play college football. I was an athlete, though. I played everything. Football, in the streets with my friends, basketball, baseball, racquetball, you name it. I was very athletic. And I ended up playing for the Dallas Cowboys for a lot of reasons, probably some of these reasons that Everett and Marvin would want you to kind of jot down, because they're kind of some standard things that successful people do. So even though I didn't play football, I was a good student, and the Dallas Cowboys knew that. They saw me playing baseball at Ohio State, I made all Big Ten 3 years in a row. I got drafted by 3 different Major League Baseball teams, so they know that I was athletic. My senior year at Ohio State, I ended up running on the track team as well as playing baseball, and found out that I was a world-class sprinter. I broke Jesse Owens' 60-yard dash record the first time I ever ran it. I ran outdoor. I ended up running almost 10 flat for 100 meters, and I weighed almost 200 pounds. I weighed 196. So the Dallas Cowboys felt like at that weight and that speed and that athleticism, and I had graduated, they knew I could learn the game of football, and they felt like I was athletic enough to play the game of football. So I passed up going to the Cleveland Indians. I passed up going to the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I passed up going to the New York Yankees to play baseball. I would have started out in the minor leagues, and hopefully I would have been good enough to make it to the major leagues. But I passed it up, and I went to Dallas. Tom Landry, who was in the Hall of Fame, was the coach at that time. We had an all-star coaching staff. Every one of those coaches became head coaches in the National Football League. And that's how I ended up in Denver with the Broncos, because one of my coaches at Dallas became the head coach of the Denver Broncos. But I had to have confidence. You have to have confidence. If you don't believe in you, nobody might not believe in you. So you have to believe in yourself. Now, as good of a student as I was, when your parents grow up in a certain environment, they have certain beliefs. Again, my mom dropped out of school after the 8th grade. My dad only graduated from high school. My stepdad only graduated from high school. Their goal for me was, you at least are going to graduate from high school. I had a bigger goal than that because of my experience at Oberlin College the summer of 1968. I realized I had some academic talent and that I could go to college one day. Now, I didn't know how I was going to go because I knew my parents didn't have the money to send me to college. They was living off of every dime they made, paycheck to paycheck. When I decided to go to college, they told me that only white boys went to college and that I was going to go and flunk out. And then what was I going to do? And I looked at my athletic ability and said, wait a minute, I can go to college on a scholarship. I looked at my academic ability and I said, I could go to college on an academic scholarship. But when I graduated, none of that was in place. So I worked for an engineering firm for 2 years. And I went to school at night at John Carroll University. A year later, I got a minority engineering scholarship at Ohio State. And I walked on and made the baseball team. And by the time I was a senior, I walked on and made the track team. All of that came together when the Dallas Cowboys came knocking on my door. And they thought I could play football. Well, they had just played in the Super Bowl. What did they need me for? They were in the Super Bowl. I looked at it totally differently, though. I said, wait a minute. If they was just in the Super Bowl, they believed that I could help them go back and win the Super Bowl. So they're not just looking at me as some novelty and we're going to sign this baseball track guy and if he doesn't make it, we'll cut him. If he makes it, we look good. No, they were trying to build a team that could go back and hopefully play the Pittsburgh Steelers again and win. So when I went to Dallas to start training, I went early. I went in April of 1979. And it was like going to Harvard to learn how to play football. I had to go to quarterback school with Roger Staubach, who is in the Hall of Fame right now, and all the other quarterbacks to learn offense. When that was done, I had to go to defensive quarterback school And I have a few defensive teammates that are in the Hall of Fame now. Cliff Harris will go in August. Randy White is already in the Hall of Fame, and we were teammates. So I had to go to defensive quarterback school with them to learn defense because they didn't know if they were going to play me on offense or defense. So I did that April, May, June, and the first week of July. And then I went to training camp in Thousand Oaks, California to try to make the team. And I made it through all 5 preseason games. And our first game was the Hall of Fame game, played against the Oakland Raiders. And my first punt return was against a Hall of Famer, the only punter that's in the Hall of Fame, Ray Guy. He kicked me the ball 58 yards, and I didn't think it was ever going to come down, and I returned that punt 42 yards and broke 6 tackles. And Tom Landry, the coach, nodded his head of approval, and then he played me on defense that day. So I made it through to the last preseason game, and it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Coach Landry called me into his office, and he says, Wade, I don't know how you're doing so well because you don't have any experience at this, but today we're playing the world champions. And as long as the starters for the Steelers are on the field, you're going to be on the field because I want to see if you can really do this or you just been lucky. Well, I ran a 62-yard punt return against the Steelers in the last 2 seconds to set up the winning score to win the game. And I made the team. In the Cleveland paper, the Plain Dealer, which Marvin and Everett are familiar with, the headlines were, "It's a miracle. Most unlikely player in the whole NFL, Wade Manning." And they did this big article on me. So I made the team, and then the following week, it was opening day against the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm going to try to put a picture up here. And they tried to make us wear these blue jerseys because they thought it was a jinx. And that's me running a kickback 87 yards to win the game 22-21 on opening day in St. Louis. So I had this storybook career going, and the whole purpose of sharing that with you is miracles don't happen to other people. Miracles can happen to you. Marvin said earlier, you got to be prepared. I was prepared. The Cowboys didn't come knocking on my door, and then I had to tell them, well, give me a couple of months to get in shape. Let me get ready. I was ready. I was ready emotionally. I was ready academically. I was ready spiritually. I was ready for any challenge that came my way. So when I went to the NFL Pro Day, they didn't have the combine at that time. I went to the NFL Pro Day at Ohio State, and I ran the fastest 40-yard dash that they'd ever seen, 4.23 seconds. A couple of years ago, the receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, Ross, he wears number 12, he ran a 4.22, but it took him 38 years to knock me off that pedestal. That's one of my claims to fame. I ended up in Denver because the coach that was at Dallas, Dan Reeves, became the head coach of the Denver Broncos, and he traded 2 draft choices to get me. So he had belief in me from what he saw in Dallas, and he switched me from defensive back to wide receiver. I came to Denver and switched to wide receiver. He knew I could learn the position because he knew that I was smart enough to learn the position. He knew I was athletic enough to learn the position. And so I did. And it was ironic. My first game at wide receiver was against the Oakland Raiders again. And Lester Hayes, one of the best cornerbacks ever, was the first person that had to guard me. and I left him in the dust. He came up to play bump and run on me, and I blew by him, and he didn't come up to play bump no more that day. He stayed 10, 11 yards off the ball. He didn't know I was that fast. And that was a feather in my cap because this guy was a very aggressive player, and he used to beat receivers up, but not me. And my coach was pretty impressed that I could run routes and play against one of the best corners in the league, my first shot at playing wide receiver. But back to that paying attention to detail. You got to be willing to listen. And I mean, not just to me or Marvin. You got to be able to listen to your parents because they lived the life that you are going to live. They didn't get old being no fools. So you got to learn to listen to them. Even if you think you know more than them, you don't. You haven't lived enough life to know more than them. So you got to listen. When you go to school, you got to be learning ready, and you got to be discipline ready. You got to be ready to learn, and you got to be ready for somebody to tell you, no, you shouldn't do that. You got to be ready for somebody to tell you that you're wrong. All they're trying to do is change your behavior so that you could have successful behavior versus behavior that's going to damage you. And you have to believe in yourself. And I don't mean falsely believe in yourself. I mean, if a person never played football before, I don't believe that they should think, oh, yeah, I could go try out for the Kansas City Chiefs and make that team. That's unrealistic. What I'm talking about is believe in yourself, that if you put your mind to whatever it is that you want to do and you study and prepare, that you can be successful in any field. Nobody thought that I could go to Ohio State and get an engineering degree. And the person that helped me go to Ohio State to get the engineering degree, he was the first African-American to graduate from the engineering program at Ohio State. Now, he believed in me. I knew I was good in math and science. So I felt like if I just worked hard, I could do it. You have to believe in your successes. It's nice to not have this big, huge, out of control ego. But boy, if you are being successful, you got to believe it. And I believed it. No matter what anybody said to me about I couldn't do it, I had too many successes that happened along the way that told me differently. So I believed in my successes. I knew that I was fast. I knew that I was strong. I knew that I was smart. So I was not afraid to go to the Dallas Cowboys and make a team that had just been in the Super Bowl. And I had some really fantastic teammates when I got there. Roger Staubach was there. Tony Dorsett was there. Drew Pearson, he just missed getting in the Hall of Fame this year. Robert Newhouse, Too Tall Jones, Harvey Martin, Randy White. I mean, they had a team that was just off the charts. And I didn't look at those guys in awe. I had respect for how good they were. But when I came down there, they literally said to me in the middle of training camp, say, hey, man, you act like you're going to make this team. And I said, oh, I'm going to make this team because I was having success. I was having better success than people who played football all their life, went to college. Some of them were all-league, all-American, and I could outrun them. I could outperform them. I didn't make mistakes. And I knew that I could make that team. And then I did make the team. And I wasn't satisfied with just making the team. I was happy that I was able to contribute to the Dallas Cowboys winning games. And when I came to Denver, they had that orange crush defense. And they accepted me. The first punt that I ever ran as a Denver Bronco, I'll try to put that picture up here. The one in the middle right there, I went 86 yards, broke 4 tackles against the Raiders. I had to replace Rick Upchurch, who had got hurt that day. And once I had that 60-plus yard run, 80-plus yard run, hey, they welcomed me with open arms. And I was, again, happy that I could help contribute to the team winning games. So I played from 1979 to 1985, and then I retired. 6 months later, I started teaching high school because I loved young people. And I wanted to be able to help young people like my coaches and teachers and people help me. So I went into teaching. I had an education degree, and I taught for 29 years in a row. And I coached 29 years in a row. And I helped kids academically because I knew that they couldn't go to college and play unless they had good grades. And I helped them athletically. The biggest drawback for the kids who didn't make it, so to speak, is they didn't listen, they didn't work hard, they didn't pay attention to detail. A lot of them were really talented, but they didn't get the opportunity that they would have liked because they didn't go to class. They found a reason to cut and hang out with their friends. They found a reason to miss practice. They found a reason to hang out on Friday night, Saturday night. And I don't say don't go to the parties, but you ain't got to stay out till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. There ain't nothing out there but trouble. Go to the parties, enjoy yourself. My motto was if I was an athlete, there was no way I was going to drink, smoke, do any kind of drugs because I needed to keep my body strong to do the athletics that I wanted to do. Sure, there are plenty of guys that drink and they smoke and they do it, but you can never be at your best if your body is not at its best. At 64 years old right now, people don't believe that I'm that old because when they see me physically, I weigh the same 196 pounds that I did 35 years ago when I retired. So I kept myself in shape physically, mentally, emotionally, and I've been able to do really well. So I've retired from playing sports. I've retired from teaching. And now I'm the president of National Football League Players Association Denver chapter. And here we are 40 plus years down the road, and I'm still a part of the National Football League. Excuse me. I work for the NFL on game day. So I know Roger Goodell on down to all the administrators at the National Football League level with the Management Council. So here's a young man from Meadville, Pennsylvania. Little hole in the wall. Parents that were factory workers, steel mill workers. You know, nobody in my family tree, like Everett, had ever gone to college. And I go to college and graduate with honors, and graduate with multiple degrees, engineering, education, minor in physiology. And after I was done playing football, I went back to school and got a master's degree, got 2 master's degrees, one in education and one in teacher leadership. You can do whatever it is you put your mind to. And if you are willing to work hard and listen, because you can learn from anybody. So you got to be willing to listen. And you pay attention to detail and take care of business, you can be successful one day. So to the Everetts and the Marvins of the world, there's a lot of them out there. And a lot of them can help you. We have walked the road that you are going to travel, and we just want you to not step on any mines and get blown up, fall in any holes and get trapped. We want to help you weave your way through this minefield called life. And no matter what the circumstances is, you as an individual, you can overcome it if you will just stay on task, work hard. As far as school goes, keep your grades up. Don't just barely pass. If you're an A student, get the A. Do not get a B. If you're a B student, get the B. Don't get a C. If you're a C student, get the C's. Try to get the B or the A, but don't get a D or an F. You don't have to. You can work hard enough for that not to happen. In other words, I'm saying don't underachieve. Whatever your ability is, you need to reach to the max to try to get every ounce of your ability out. One of the reasons why I signed and went to play with Dallas, my mom thought I was crazy. She said, you haven't played football in your life. What makes you think you can make the Dallas Cowboys? And you're going to leave your job at Caterpillar. I was working as an engineer. And if you get cut, you're not going to get your job. See, J-O-B, working for somebody else. You're not going to get your job back. I said, Mom, I have world-class athletic ability. I have got to use this up before I go into my next life. I can't take world-class speed and ability into life and not use it. I got to go use it. And if I get cut, hey, I got an education degree. I got a degree in engineering. I can get another job. But I had to go and use up that talent. And I did until I was 30 years old. And I stayed in shape. And I literally ran my fastest 40, other than on a track, at 30 years old. I ran a 4.21 second 40 at 30 years old. And my coach, Dan Reeves, asked me, are you ever going to slow down? And I was like, no, because I'm never going to stop training. As long as I'm trying to make this team, I will never lose a half a step. I'm only going to get better. And that's how you got to attack life. And now that I'm retired from teaching and retired from football, it ain't time for me to sit down. It's just that I could do whatever I want to do because I have a teaching retirement, an NFL retirement. I got my NFL inspector's income. I got a 403B, a 457. You know, money is a non-issue. I can go where I want, do what I want. My kids, I got 4 of them. I've never had to tell them no. My parents had to tell me no a lot. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. God has blessed me. I can't even say to my kids, I don't have the money. They look at me like I'm crazy, like, Dad, you know you got the money. It's just a matter of you want to give it to me or not. And as long as they do what they're supposed to do, their part, I'm always going to help them. I rushed out this morning, got their track workout in, and rushed back home so I could get on this Zoom call with you guys. So they got their training in. I got my exercise in this morning, and I was not going to miss this call to have an opportunity to help all of you young people and to be a support system for Everett Glenn and Marvin Bishop. They're my friends, and any way I can help, I'll help. I hope that someday in the future, when we get through this virus, I'll be able to fly to California or wherever you guys are and meet you in person and just share my life further with you. This is not going to be the first and last time. You know, I'm looking at names on the screen. I see Raymond Jenkins. I see Donovan. Okay. You can be successful. And I'm just calling out those 2 names because they right there in front of me. I probably can click on this button and see Christian and London and Ken and David and Darius and Isaiah. Hey, you guys can be successful regardless of your circumstances. You can overcome it. You can be successful in spite of. Do not let circumstances get you down. Rise above them. Because I played on a lot of teams with guys that grew up in Compton, California in a war zone. And they made it out of there, made it to the National Football League, and they were successful. Made it to Major League Baseball. They were successful. NBA, they were successful. So we all have our story. Just get ready to write your story and be successful. I want to thank Everett, and I want to thank Marvin for inviting me on this call today. I've kept up with Everett for a few years here, so I'm familiar with Boss. And now that I'm retired, I literally have more time on my hands to get involved with Boss. But I've been watching you guys for a couple of years, and I really I'm excited about what that organization is doing. And just real quick, while I was teaching, I started an African-American male group at my high school called OPP, Our Positive Presence. So just to piggyback on what Everett and what Marvin said earlier, you don't just have to make it as an athlete. So my group, what I did was I took them to see all the other employment opportunities that there was in sports. So we went to see how the Colorado Rockies ran their organization so they could be administrators, coaches, owners of teams one day. We went to the Bronco facility to see all the behind the scene opportunities that were there. We went to the Denver Nuggets to see all of the opportunities that were there other than being an athlete. The NHL came in at that time, our Colorado Avalanche, and now we have Major League Soccer here too. There are so many other opportunities, like Everett said earlier. If he even knew that he could be an owner, he probably would have been an owner, okay? He set his mind on being an attorney, and he did it, so he probably could have been an owner. If he even knew that, is that even an option for an African-American male to be an owner? Okay, well, we know that Magic Johnson is an owner now, okay, with those LA Dodgers, and he's part ownership with the LA Lakers, so yes, it can be done. Think big, dream big, but don't just think it and dream it, make it happen. Thanks, guys.
All right. That was powerful. That was powerful. Thank you so much, Wade, for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and your experience with them. And the idea is we just get enough folk to come and say the same thing differently, then it'll click for guys and they'll understand that there's only really one way to be successful. Marvin, what do you think? You gotta unmute yourself. You gotta unmute yourself.
And hold up. Oh,
yeah, there
wow.
You go.
We got you, Marvin. You're good.
Okay, that I'm about to come out.
Marvin, we
unmute
got
myself.
Hear you.
You good?
You can hear me now.
Yes, sir.
We can hear you.
Okay. Listen, what I was looking for, Everett, was the principles that's inside of not only Ray's talk but Lawrence. I thought this was a very powerful day because what they gave us was tools to build a philosophy. And what history has shown is that the major determinant factor in how your life turn out will be your philosophy. All the things that Ray did, I still hear that philosophy of what his dad told him. Pay attention to detail. And Ray learned early on, and that's where his life, see, he didn't make the Dallas Cowboys the year they signed him. He made it when he was a young man because he's a testament to the art of war. That's a book that they use in Harvard Business School. And the book said this: every battle that was ever won was won before it was ever fought. What are they saying? Do your homework. Pay attention to detail. Be prepared. What's going to happen to this group of boss participants? Whatever you're going to do 20 years from now, you're going to really win it today. Where they say pay attention to details, be willing to go the extra mile, don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. We know this, Everett, from listening to your story, Wade's story, and Lauren's story. People can get in the way, but only you can stop you. Wow. Everett, maybe we can open up for at least a question or two, because I know it's late in the day, but this is a very special time, and I don't think we should take it for granted because these are golden nuggets. And for those of you who don't recognize it, it's because like a diamond, it don't look like a diamond in its natural state. You know, a diamond is like an old dirty rock. And if you don't know what it look like, you'll kick it and then go around talking about ain't nothing good gonna happen to me. But we know what it looked like. It looks like a Wade Manning. It looked like a Lance Jackson. It looked like an Everett Glenn. So, Everett, could we also open it for maybe a question or two?
Yeah, does anybody have a question? I mean, just unmute yourself, click on your mic if you've got a question and you want to say something. Anybody? RJ.
RJ look like he been taking notes, man. RJ, you taking notes?
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, you know what, RJ? I done ran out of paper, man. I ran out of paper. Hey, don't let Wade get away without you getting that information. I like that, Everett. He taking notes. He who writes remembers.
You gonna have to unmute yourself.
Here we go. So if there's one thing that you would change that you did in the past, what would it be?
Well, this has to do with this new brain injury that they found out that former players are coming down with called CTE. So the only thing I probably would change is I probably would have went and played Major League Baseball and took a less chance of me getting hit upside the head than playing football, where you're gonna get hit and your head is gonna slam down and your brain is gonna smack the inside of the skull. So,
wow.
you know, I probably would have played baseball, but I think I missed my calling. I think track and field was my calling.
Yeah.
And I only ran to chase a ball, chase a person, and then I fell in love with track on a bet and ended up finding out that I was a world-class sprinter. Now, I probably would have pursued it, but in 1980, and we knew in advance that the United States was going to boycott the Moscow Olympics. So I went ahead and signed with the Dallas Cowboys. If they weren't going to boycott the Moscow Olympics, then I probably would have passed on going to Dallas. I would have trained for another year, try to run in the Olympic trials and see if I could have made the Olympic team. As far as anything in my life, I wouldn't change. It all led to the point of me becoming who I was. So growing up in Meadville, my parents getting divorced, which you don't want to see that happen, but that moved me from Meadville to Cleveland. I met the Marvin Bishops of the world, learned how to live a city life instead of a country boy life. Went on to Shaker Heights, which was the richest suburb in the United States at that time. I think it's second or third now. So I learned how rich people got rich and how they held on to their money versus spending it up and then being broke again. Went on to Ohio State, got a degree, went on to the Dallas Cowboys, which that wasn't supposed to happen. And here I am 42 years later, after my rookie year, still involved with the National Football League and still have a connection with the Everett Glenns and Marvin Bishops of the world.
Wow.
You just don't ever know how it's going to turn out. I sound like my parents now. Okay?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Life just happens. Everything I ever wanted to do, RJ, everything I ever wanted to do has happened. I wanted to graduate from high school. It happened. I wanted to go to college. It happened. Oh, I wanted to be a professional athlete. It happened. I wanted to get married and have kids. It happened and got 4. And now my oldest is 42 in the October, and my youngest is 16 right now. And so, and I still got a lot of life to live.
Wow.
It happens quick, you know. I'm looking at your hair, man, and I wish my hair could still grow like that. Shoot.
Me too.
Looking good.
Hey, Everett. Everett?
Yes, sir. I hear you.
I'm looking at RJ's eyes, and I see something that was in Ray's eyes when I met him. I see RJ is dreaming, and he got a vision. And just like when I met Wade, he had a vision. And Wade is he's a testament to RJ, don't let anybody take that vision away from you, right? And you're gonna get folks. That's why a lot of times we teach people in goal setting, don't share your goals with people. Keep it to yourself so the haters can't hate on you. Except one exception, share your goals with other people who have goals, right? Because before you ever can see your goals, it has to come into existence twice. One inside, and then one when you see it on the outside. Long before you ever see that 600 Mercedes in your driveway, it has to exist inside of you. So keep dreaming, my brother.
I have a question.
Anybody else?
Yeah. I have a question, Mr. Glenn. One of my questions was for.
What's your name?
My name is Memphis Stover. I'm 14.
All right.
Wow, man.
This is my question for Mr. Wade. What's the motivation for people in high school, you know, playing football or playing sports in general, that coronavirus is kind of like blocking what they want to do for the next 4 years, or just like their high school experience, like through sports?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Nothing like this has happened in 102 years. When we had that Spanish flu, man, in 1918. So what you have to understand is we are going to recover. It's gonna happen. That's who we are as a nation. That's who we are as a people worldwide. We got too many really smart people, scientists, that are going to solve this problem. They're going to get a vaccine. It's looking ugly right now, but just stay out of harm's way. Stay at home. Stay around people that you know that aren't sick, and you'll get through this. I'm in new territory as far as, because, you know, I had 2 kids whose athletic events ended this year. So my son didn't get to run his outdoor college track this year. He ran indoors and he was successful. He got 4th at the conference meet in the 60-meter hurdles. My daughter is a sophomore in high school, and they canceled their track season, so she didn't get to run her 2nd year of varsity track. So that's why I'm still training them, because I know we're going to get through this. It's going to come back, and I want them to be ready when this ends. Right. I don't want them to like, oh, well, now I got to get in shape. Nope, we're going to keep you in shape. So when this is over with, you're ready to go. That would be my message to anyone that is an athlete right now and looking for that opportunity to go to school on a scholarship, because it costs a lot of money to go to school. I know. My son is paying $58,000 a year to go to Savannah College of Arts and Design in Atlanta. And what if I didn't get ready financially for that a long time ago? You know, I'd have been looking at him talking about, hey, good luck. You'll have to go get some loans or something. But hey, I'm writing that check every 3 months. I'm writing that check for him to go to school.
Hey, Lester.
So keep your dream alive. We're going to get through this. You'll be playing your sport again, but stay in shape. It's kind of one of them things. My motto has always been, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's right. That's right. Everett.
And see, Memphis also, so what we're doing here, we got principals This program is based on principles, right? And one of them,
That's right,
is that you can make money and you can make excuses, but you can't make money and excuses at the same time, right?
absolutely.
So COVID came in and we couldn't get together with you guys in person, right? And
Right.
we didn't just fold up our tent. We went online, right? And so
That's right.
Practice now, you can't play, but you can stay ready.
That's right.
And I mean, I can't go to the gym. I'm 60, I'm almost 70 years old, and I go to the gym 5 times a week. And I haven't been to the gym in 3 months. But I'm looking at Billy Blank's videos, and I'm doing aerobics in my family, doing something to stay ready. So you can just be mad that you can't play, or you can get you some stuff and get in your driveway and get in your backyard and do some cones and do all the kind of stuff you need to do to stay ready.
Hey, Everett.
You don't get it.
Everett.
Yes, sir.
Watch this for Lester. And I hope everybody on this call don't miss this. These principles that we're sharing are universal, which means man didn't invent them. This is some of God's stuff, the creator stuff. One of the principles inside a boss is, and that God created, is this. Inside of every adversity is an equal or greater benefit. So what is that saying? That even in this pandemic, because if the principle don't say some adversity, it's all adversity, you'll find, Lester, an equal or greater benefit if you look. So what's the benefit of this pandemic? If you're playing sports, now you got more time, 3 times the amount of time now to polish your game. You got time now to do a call like this, to get this kind of information that's going to set the course of your life and take it to another level that it would not have went to had you not been able to get this call. So either we can serve this time with the pandemic, or we can let the time serve us.
That's right.
I have a question for Mr. Wade.
Speak up.
Yes.
What was your favorite part of your journey?
The favorite part of my journey, I think it started at Oberlin College in 1968.
That's right.
I don't know if they did this, Everett. They probably did. Did you guys have like an athletic field day when you were there?
Yeah.
So we went over to the college track, man, and we had this track meet. And I had never high jumped before. I learned in gym class how to Western roll a little bit. But when I went to Oberlin, the athletes from Ashtabula and Lorraine and Elyria, man, these people, they were so good, I was like scared to death. Now, Marvin knew that I was good, but I didn't know I was good. I just thought I was average and everybody was good. So I high jumped that day, and I high jumped 5'10", and I was only 5'1". And I high jumped the Fosbury flop, and I had never seen Dick Fosbury. I just like, look, this Western roll ain't working. And I asked the guy that was doing the event, hey, can I go over on the other side and come from the from the right and jump over backwards? And he said, hey, long as you get over the bar, you can do it. So I went, jumped 5'10" that day, and my confidence went sky high. A month later, I'm looking at the 68 Olympics, and I see Dick Fosbury going over backwards. And it was funny because I told my mom when it happened, I said, hey, he goes over like me versus I go over like him. But that's when I knew that I had some special ability. And so the best part of my journey after that was when I went to college at Ohio State. I walked on to make the baseball team, and 500 people tried out for the baseball team. And they only kept 2. Me and another kid named Jimmy Moore. He was a left-handed pitcher. So they kept me and Jimmy. And so there I was, a Division I college baseball player, after walking on and beating out 500 other guys. And we had 24 other guys that were on scholarship. And then later on that year, when I made all Big Ten, led the team in every offensive category, they put me on scholarship for baseball. So that was a great accomplishment for me.
I have a question for Mr. Wade.
Was that Donovan?
Darius.
Oh, Darius. Okay. Yeah, speak up.
What is your definition of being great?
My definition of being great is achieving what my potential was. So I couldn't
repeat that.
I had to do what I did. My definition was that I had to accomplish what I was capable of. And the only way you're going to know how capable you are is if you go after it. So as an example, I could have said no to the Dallas Cowboys. I could have came up with every excuse in the world. You know, I haven't played football since I was in the 7th grade, or playing in the streets with my kid. Hey, it was a great honor for you to even come talk to me. And I was like, yeah, let me go do this. I'm going to find out just how good I am. And I made the Dallas Cowboys. So always striving to be the best that you can be is being successful, no matter what that is. I did that academically because they said I was going to go to college and flunk out. Now, I went to college and graduated in the top 10% of my class at Ohio State with an engineering degree, education degree, minor in physiology. You have got to reach for the goal that you are able to accomplish. Don't settle for less.
I have a
what
question.
I heard you say, Wade, was you didn't measure greatness by other people. You just wanted to be the best Wade Manning.
Exactly. Well said.
I have a question.
Now, and also, Wade, if you can go to the chat, if you can check the chat on yours, you'll see questions are coming up and you can just answer them. You can read them and answer them, but somebody's got a question right now. Speak up. Was that David?
Okay.
No, that was me.
Was that Donovan again?
My question is in the chat. It's, if you had any advice for your younger self, what would it be?
Go for the gusto. Hold on. Yeah, go for the gusto. How old are you? I can see you on the screen.
Yeah, I'm 12.
12. See, Marvin met me when I was 12. And I didn't know it, but Marvin saw that something in my eyes, something in my body language, something in my personality. He knew before I knew at 12 years old that I was going to be successful. He saw something. And so what I would say to my younger self, like when I was 12 years old and I met Marvin, was, boy, whatever God made you to do, you better find out what it is and you better go do it. You have to become what you're capable of doing. So I would tell myself, go after it. Don't hold back, because if you hold back, you will never know how good you could be. Let me give you one other example. I wasn't surprised when I went to Ohio State and I made the bet and walked on and made the track team and ended up breaking Jesse Owens' record. Marvin, you talked about the art of war, and the war is won before you ever fought that war. Marvin, I made a decision when you met me that I wasn't going to be lazy. So if I wasn't on my bike or in a car, I was going to run everywhere that I would go. So I ran to the store, ran to Corlett to play basketball, ran to John Adams, I ran everywhere. After I moved to Shaker, if I wasn't on my bike or in a car, I ran. I didn't know I was training. So by the time I got to Ohio State, and at 22 years old, somebody challenged me to run, I had been training and didn't know it, went out for the track team and was a world-class sprinter and did not know that I had been training. I was just trying not to be lazy. And I trained my way into being a great athlete, trying just not to be lazy.
Now, Caleb, if what I would tell my younger self is, because my parents, like, they would tell you that the fire is hot on the stove, right? It's hot, right? And I didn't, even though I know they knew, I had to find out for myself, right? But they knew that the stove was hot. And they told me the stove was hot. So what I would tell my younger self is sometimes you don't have to figure out, and because a lot of young people think they need to make their own mistakes. And so they don't listen to older folk because they want to make the mistake themselves. But some of these mistakes, the price is too high to pay to make it yourself. So that, like with drugs, they told me, don't do drugs. Okay, well, but I wanted to try drugs, right? So I should have listened to the people that knew better who said, don't do drugs. So some of the stuff that you're gonna hear, some of the advice, heed the advice and don't, decide that, okay, well, let me see for myself. Marvin, pick up.
There was a question from Andrew that said, what was the lowest point in your journey and how did you overcome it? This is for Wade.
All right, so I was answering that question. The lowest point in my athletic career, it happened at a young age, but I overcame it. My high school basketball coach, and Marvin, this was probably when I wished that I was at John F. Kennedy instead of Shaker Heights. My basketball coach, who was also my gym teacher, and he was also my baseball coach. When I came to Shaker, my brother was already a star, and he couldn't tell my brother what to do. Now, Marvin knows my brother. You ain't telling Tony Manning what to do, okay? So he picked on me. So when I came, he told me, he says, you know what? I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm just being honest with you, and this is the way it is. If you're not better than everybody else on my team, I don't need you. I have learned to tolerate Black people. And if you are not better than the white boys I have on my team, I don't need you. You can't be just as good. You got to be better, or I'm not going to keep you on my team. Now, my brother at the time was one of the best athletes ever came through Shaker Heights. So I didn't know why he was picking on me, but he called himself being honest. But at the same time, he was being racist as racist could be. Well, for me, in my head, I was like, I'm going to show this white man. I ain't worried about being better than any of these white boys on the team. That's a given. I'm better. But I'm going to show him that he can't break me. He couldn't break my brother. Now, my brother was rebellious. But he ain't gonna break me. I'm gonna kill him with kindness. And I did. So by the time Fred Heinlein passed away, I was in Cleveland, went to the Hall of Fame, and I went to his house, and the coach that just got let go by the Dallas Cowboys, he's from Cleveland. As a matter of fact, his dad was my coach. at Shaker. He was one of the coaches, Coach Garrett. But we went to Fred's house to visit with him. And he had dementia, and he was dying. And his wife, Lois, said, Wade, Fred might not remember who you are, but I'm glad that you came to visit. I walked in that room. He said, Wade Manning. Oh, my God. He says, you know I'm dying. And I said, yeah, I know, but I'm here to see you. He said, well, I want to apologize to you before I die. He said, I did everything. I threw everything at you to discourage you, and you never blinked. And I said, well, Coach Highland, I knew who I was. And I understood you were trying to be honest with me, that you were just tolerating Black people and that I had to be better than everybody else in order to play on your team. But what I really saw was an opportunity to show you, in case any Black athletes came after me, I was going to be a person of character, integrity. I was going to be a hard worker, so that when another Black kid came after me, so I was paying it forward before I even knew the term pay it forward. I was paying it forward so that the next Black kid that came behind me, he would give them a chance. He wouldn't see the color of their skin. He would just let them perform athletically and academically, and if they could help his team win games, then he would keep them on the team. So when I think back on it, that was a low point in my life, that here I was living in the North, and, you know, my understanding was, yeah, there was racism in the South, but not in the North, and certainly not in Shaker Heights, Ohio, richest suburb in the United States, you know, but it was, and I had to overcome it. And it got me ready for the next low point, which was at Ohio State. Now, I told you a great story, tried out, made it through those 500 people, but I had a racist baseball coach at Ohio State. He had no intentions of me playing. And he told the African-American master's degree coach that, okay, you got your one. And I was sitting on the bench. He had no intention of playing me. And our left fielder broke his ankle sliding into third base in a game, and I had to play. And he couldn't take me out the lineup when this guy recovered from his broken ankle, because I was leading the team in every offensive category and got drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So now he had to play me. And he tried to destroy me. I told Marvin and Everett just the other day, he told the Pittsburgh Pirates that he didn't think that I could play Major League Baseball because I had a serious eye condition. And so the Pirates drafted me later than they should. And when I went to the University of Pittsburgh and got my eye exam, the doctor stopped the eye exam in the middle of the exam and said, hey, there's nothing wrong with your eyes. And I said, well, who said there was something wrong with my eyes? He says, your head coach at Ohio State said you had a serious eye condition and he didn't believe that you could play Major League Baseball. I went back and played for this man 2 more years and never told him that I knew that he tried to destroy my baseball career. Made all Big Ten again, MVP of his team, broke the school record in stolen bases and home runs, and for a career and a season. And I never said a word. I just performed. And again, one of my lowest points was the only African-American on the baseball team traveling through the South, through Macon, Georgia, Athens, Georgia, Columbus, Georgia. I mean, I had flashback with this young man that just got killed jogging down the street, because I've been through all these little small towns in Georgia on a white baseball team, and they called me the N-word. They called me Chicken George, Kunta Kinde, Toby. I know what they're facing in them little small towns. And I played my best baseball at that time when they threw at me on purpose, whistled at me, hey, Spotty. You know, I mean, I just didn't want to perform bad because they were trying to pick on me and make me perform bad. So, hey, I just dug my heels in, and I always performed my best when I went through Georgia, Northern Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and back through Tennessee. I just couldn't let this racism get me down. And I played 3 seasons as the only African-American on the baseball team at Ohio State, and I didn't play against another African-American my whole time. That's because if black guys were good enough, they got drafted right out of high school and went to the pros. They didn't go to college to try to play baseball. So I was the only black guy for 3 years in a row. And it was a low point, but I made sure that I performed well. Kind of felt like Jackie Robinson. I don't know how he did it, because I know it was way worse than what I did.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You persevered through all of the racism and stuff. Do you think that if anybody was to persevere and work really hard for what they wanted to achieve, they could do it?
Yes, and we have plenty of examples. You know, Martin Luther King lost his life. Malcolm X lost his life. Jackie Robinson died an early death. I mean, he was barely 50 years old when he died because of the stress that he went through. We owe it to the people that lost their lives, African Americans as well as Anglo-Saxons that lost their lives trying to make equality for all races in this country. And even though there's still racism, there's still prejudice, we have opportunities now that they didn't have. And they lost their lives on a daily basis, where we don't face the loss of life on a daily basis like they did. You know, I don't want to downplay what happened to Aubrey in Georgia, but we owe it to them. I don't want Martin Luther King rolling over in his grave after all that he tried to do to make it better for us, and then we turn around and not make it better for the people that are going to be born coming after us. Yes, you can overcome. I don't want you to have to, but it exists, and you're gonna have to weave your way through this minefield called life so that you can be successful for yourself and for your future family. I have these conversations with all of my kids, especially now with my 19-year-old and my 16-year-old. And my son is in Atlanta, and we drove from Atlanta to Savannah, Georgia, and we had to go through every one of them towns I played baseball games in. And he remembered that when this story came out about the kid, Aubrey, Ahmaud Arbery, that lost his life jogging through one of these small Georgia towns. He was like, "Dad, you was being serious." I said, "Yeah, I didn't want to scare you. I just wanted you to know that there are people that are stuck in the past, and they're afraid of Black people just because of the color of our skin. And if they could do anything to hurt you or take your life and justify it, they will. So you always have to be on your P's and Q's. You got to keep your head on a swivel, know the environment that you're in. You know, don't make any sudden moves that could be misconstrued as aggressive towards somebody. And it's sad that we have to do that, but look, it's got to be done because it could cost you your life. But you can be successful. Look at the LeBron James of the world. There's a whole lot of them out there now, okay, that are successful. Kobe, with his Mamba mentality. I think I had Mamba long before Kobe. Kobe's the same age as my oldest son, 41, would be 42 in August. My son would be 42 in October. I think I had that Mamba mentality a long time ago, and I'm glad he just built on it.
I have another question. Wait. My question was going through racism, also playing sports. Besides letting your performance speak for itself, what's something that you had to like? What's something that helped you overcome it?
Standing up for yourself. Okay, so I had a strong mom and a dad. Now Marvin may not remember my bio dad, but he remembers my mom, and my mom was strong as strong could be. She didn't take no stuff off of nobody. However, she learned how to do it with gentleness and reverence. So she didn't like turn the other cheek. She just knew how to tell you off without yelling and screaming and telling you off, and you knew where she was coming from. I got two stories for you. One, when I was a Dallas Cowboy, my defensive back coach, Gene Stallings, he was from the South. He was a head coach at Texas A&M at one time, and when he was done with his NFL coaching career as the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, he became the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and they won the national championship. Well, he used to always try to call the black guys on the team boy, but he always referred to Charlie Waters, Cliff Harris, Randy Hughes, young man this, young man that. But whenever he talked to any of us, Everson Walls, me, Benny Barnes, Dennis Thurman, it was, boy, come over here. Boy, don't you know your son? Boy, well, he ran into the wrong man. He tried to call me a boy one day. I pulled Gene off to the side. I said, Gene, let me tell you something. You might be the defensive back coach and everything, but I'm a man. You're not going to get away with calling me boy. Now, he tried to get out of it by saying, well, you ain't a girl. I call my grandson boy. I said, yeah, but your grandson is a boy, and I'm a man. He said, well, I don't know why you take it as so personal. I said, because you refer to Charlie Waters as young man, Randy Hughes as young man, Cliff Harris as young man. Why we got to be boys? We men. And so I had to go have a meeting with Coach Landry about it. And I just told him, I said, hey, I'm 23 years old, about to be 24 years old. I'm a grown man, and I do not want this man calling me boy. And he said the same thing to Coach Landry. Well, Coach Landry, he had that Southern drawl. Well, my grandson is a boy, and I call him boy. He ain't a girl. And Coach Landry looked at him and said, Gene, Wade is a grown man. So you can't refer to him as boy, especially if you're calling Charlie and the rest of the white guys young man this and young man that. So he had to stop. But I stood up for myself. I was not going to let this man get away with calling me a boy. Okay. Now, the first time I heard saw someone handle a situation with gentleness and reverence, it was in Meadville, Pennsylvania. My first day of school going to first grade, because I didn't go to kindergarten. I went straight to first grade. I dig at Marvin again, because I was pretty smart, Marvin. They didn't want to waste a year on me in first grade. So in kindergarten, so I went to first grade. So I go to the donut shop across the street from the elementary school, 2nd District Elementary School, and my mom had given me a nickel to go and get a donut. I love glazed donuts. And they was fresh, hot out the oven. And so I go to buy a donut, and I walk in with two of my other friends, Willie Buchanan, who we call Tinky, and Jody Bass. So we go in to get a donut, man, and there's a white lady behind the counter, and she looked at the three of us, looked at her husband, and said, get these niggers out of here. And that was the first time I knew, whoa, something's different about me. I looked at the back of my hand, and I said, oh, man, I didn't know I was black until she said, get these niggers out of here. So I go to school, and I'm the only black in my class, and they put me in the far back corner right next to the heater, which was black. So I still have that picture. So when they took the class picture, I almost blended in with the heater, except for my white teeth, smiling. But my thought was that the teacher, who was white, put me way back here, diagonal, far catty corner from her as she could, because I was black because of what happened across the street. So anyway, the school day ended. I went home. I told my mom, because I didn't know what the term nigger was, because we didn't use it in our house. Okay, so I didn't know what N-I-G-G-E-R was. So I said, Mom, what's a nigger? She said, who called you that? I said, the lady at the donut shop referred to me and Tinky and Jody as niggers. She said, come on, let's go. So we went back to the donut shop. My mother walked in, walked up to the counter with me beside her, and my mother, her nickname was the Battling Cyclone. I was like, oh, she about to have a fight. But my mom went up to the counter and she says, I would like to have a baker's dozen, that's 13 donuts instead of 12, a baker's dozen of the glazed donuts. And the lady reached to pick the donuts up to start putting them in this white bag. And my mother said, no. You need to handle my donuts with that tissue paper. I don't want your hands on my donut. So she put 13 donuts in the bag, told my mom how much it cost. My mom grabbed the money, paid her, and looked at me and said, I want you to come in this donut shop every day before school and buy a donut and let me know if you have any more trouble. And then she looked back at the lady and walked out. And I went to that donut shop every day, and I made sure that woman picked up the donut with the tissue paper, and I eat my glazed donut and go to school. But I thought my mom was going to cause a ruckus in there, and she handled that. I didn't have no trouble with the husband or the wife after she handled it that way. So what I learned is you didn't have to physically fight or verbally fight to resolve a confrontation. And that's what I learned to do. Now, hey, I will fight now. I mean, if that's all I got, I'm going to fight. But if I can use my brain to get out of situations, I'll do that. And not feel bad about it, not feel like I just got punked or turned the other cheek. It's just that, you know what, I want to live to see another day. So there ain't no sense in dying on a hill that you don't have to die on.
How's it going? My name is Noah Abbott, and I'm 15 years old, but I have a question. What specific books did you read or would you recommend to help you develop as an athlete or help you self-develop? And why did you choose those books?
Yeah, there's a book that is written by Tony Dungy. And I have no idea why that book is escaping my mind, but I'm going to look at my Kindle right quick and tell you.
Okay, thank you.
And it kind of goes along with what Lawrence Jackson said earlier, that talent alone, sorry about that, talent alone is not going to get you over the hump. You got to work hard. Okay. So do you know who Tony Dungy is? He's the first African-American to win the Super Bowl as a head coach.
Yes.
Well, me and Tony are the same age.
Oh, wow.
He was at the University of Minnesota when I was at Ohio State. So I played against him in baseball, because I didn't play football at Ohio State, but I played against him in baseball.
Oh, wow.
He's a great athlete, but he has a book that if you could read this book, it would just open up your eyes. And again, I'm looking through my Kindle right here. I should see it in a second. By Tony Dungy. Getting close. I got like 86 books. I'll read. You know, Marvin and Everett talked about reading.
Yes.
I remember canceling my CD music club. And I ended up joining a book club. So I read all the time now. Well, here's a good one. The Talent Code, Unlocking the Secret of Skill
Okay.
That's a good book that you could read.
Okay.
The Talent Code, but I'm looking for my Dungy. Or did it just have references to Dungy? Here's another one. The Power of Habit. That's it. The Power of Habit.
Okay.
And they talk about Tony Dungy in this book a lot. So
Okay.
The Power of Habit, The Talent Code, and then there's one that I'm reading right now. I'm like 20% through it, and it's called Made to Stick. Made to Stick by Chip Heath and Dan Heath. And it says, why some ideas stick and others die.
Okay.
So those are some good books. Now, I read these books because they asked my son when he got his partial scholarship to college, they asked him to read these books. So I read them. So there's my son wanted to talk about them and discuss them. I had read the books, but he got a $10,000 per year scholarship from a group out here in Colorado. And so they asked him to read a couple of books that are just powerful. One of them is called Power.
Power.
By Jeffrey Pfeiffer. It's called Power. Why some people have it and others don't. So if you want to learn about power and how you get it and keep it, that's a good book. The other one is Black Faces, White Places.
Black Faces, White Places.
Yeah. So it's going to teach you how to play this game.
Okay.
Changing strategies to achieve success and find greatness. And it's by Randall Pinkett.
Randall Pinkett.
Yeah, Randall Pinkett.
Yeah, Randall Pinkett is a friend of ours.
Man, that book is powerful. Black Faces, White Places.
Hey Noah. Hey Noah. Yeah. What do you think is the power of habit, Noah? Since you asked the question about the books, what's the power of habit to you?
Of habit.
Habit, yes.
The power of habit to me would probably be to do something over and over again.
Now, that's how you develop the habit.
Yes.
The power, you develop it by repetition, right? The power is, and somebody else asked a question about what you did when you was a kid, or what was the point. And Wade talked about Oberlin College in the 7th grade, and that's same for me. Basically, those 7th through the 12th grade. But what I did was I became a student. Okay, I developed the habit of wanting to learn as a kid, so I don't have to think about it. I don't have to. I don't even think about doing work. I just do it because I developed the habit of doing work, right?
Yes.
No, so that's the power of the habit. Once you develop it, then you don't have to think about stuff. You don't make excuses because it's a habit for you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the power of it is it gives you power to go even beyond what you have made a habit, right? So if you make handling your business a habit, right? So the first thing you do when you come home from school is you do your schoolwork, you don't turn on the video games, all this kind of stuff. And that habit, the power of that is going to lead to success in your life. You follow?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Hey, real quick, I just answered a question. Were you afraid to fail? And I answered it. The fear of failure caused me to prepare because I didn't want to fail. Now, the person that I looked up to when I was growing up was Cassius Clay. Now, y'all know him as Muhammad Ali because he changed his name. But I always felt like Muhammad Ali, who was probably the first trash talker, probably the first rap artist too, the way he strung his verbiage together. But I just felt like he put pressure on himself, and then he had to back it up. And the only way to back it up was him to train to be able to back it up. I mean, if he said he was gonna knock you out in the 3rd round and he put a rhyme with it, he gonna knock you out in the 4th round and he put a rhyme with it, that he put the pressure on himself that if I'm gonna talk all this smack, I better be ready for each and every bout. And my mom and some of my friends, they hated Muhammad Ali. They said, you shouldn't sing your own praises. He talked too much. And I looked at it from a totally different perspective. I was like, wait a minute. If he talking it and backing it up, that's a bad boy. So I just learned that if I was going to run my mouth, I better be able to back it up. When I went off to play for the Dallas Cowboys to try out, everybody said, you're going to get cut and you'll be home. And I was like, I'm not going to get cut, because I'm not coming home to listen to all this smack y'all going to be talking to me about. Yeah, you thought you was good enough to play for a Super Bowl team. What was wrong with you? I didn't want to hear that noise. So guess what I did? I trained, I studied, I prepared, and I was able to make a Super Bowl caliber team, even though it was my first experience with organized football since I was in the 8th grade at Woodbury Junior High. So let the fear of failure motivate you. Don't let it stop you from competing and trying to get what you want. Prepare. Prepare so that you don't fail. All right, you still there? Because everybody got silent. I ain't hearing no sound.
We're still here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Have to make sure I didn't accidentally mute anybody. Where's Marvin? Is Marvin still here?
Yeah, I'm right here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Wade, I had a question. A couple things. One, what's some great questions these young men are asking you? First, let's deal with the last question about fear. And it's been said that fear is a necessary prerequisite to be successful. So even if you fail at something, you really don't fail, because if fear is a prerequisite to succeed, what are they really saying about fear?
Well, I believe what they're saying is it is going to give you the motivation inside yourself to prepare for the challenge. Right. Now, I got a lot of examples and stories, but I want these young men that I'm seeing on this screen, just imagine this. Like, I hadn't played football since I was in the 8th grade, 13 years old. And now I'm in the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, against the Oakland Raiders. And I knew exactly what Tom Landry was doing to me. He says, hey, you're going to be out there for the first punt return. He wanted to see if I was scared. He wanted to see if I was going to fumble the ball. He wanted to see if I was going to find a place to lay down so I didn't get hit hard. I knew that he was challenging me. And then I knew that the best kicker ever in the history of the game was about to punt me the ball. So when I ran out there, I had some butterflies in my stomach. But what I did is, remember earlier I said, believe your successes? I had caught so many fly balls in baseball in my life. And that ball is little. And now they were about to kick me the moon. The football looked like the moon. And there was no way I could miss this ball. So I just told myself, calm down, take a deep breath. I blew it out. I said, when you catch this ball, show them what you got. So I never worried about I hope I don't fumble. I hope I catch it. I said, look, you done caught too many fly balls in your life and you ain't never dropped one, so why you gonna miss the moon today? So he kicked it. I caught it. And I gained 42 yards on my first punt return, and I broke 6 tackles. And when I came back to the sideline, Landry nodded his head of approval. So I didn't let the fear overwhelm me to the point of missing the ball. That'll get you cut.
That's right.
Laying down, that'll get you cut. Go ahead, Marvin.
So I'm thinking back to when I was about that age of these young men, and I know there's some fear, but I've learned through the journey that it's all right to have fear, but not let the fear have you. As a matter of fact, and Everett, I think you could agree with me on this, that your greatness is not going to be found in a comfort zone. See, it's going to be found in the risk zone. See, Ray, when you went out there with the Cowboys, that was an uncomfortable position for a non-player. Realize this, you didn't even play in college, but you still got it done because you said something that's very important, which is I got to. And Everett and I talk all the time about the 3 kind of people that psychology say walk the earth. You got folks that hope to do some things, some people that like to do some things, and some people who got to do some things. Well, I'm putting my money on the got to kind of person, and Wade, you stated that I had to succeed. See, when you have that kind of attitude, then the impossible becomes possible.
Yes, I couldn't fail. I didn't want to fail because I thought I was a pretty good athlete. I knew the skills that I had, and I certainly didn't want to listen to people just dog me about what was wrong with you. What made you think you could play for the Dallas Cowboys? And so I prepared. I made sure that I didn't make mistakes. I made sure that I caught the ball, did my job. It was going to be hard for them to cut me. And if they cut me, guess what? I gave it my best. And
that's right.
Instead of me, they must be pretty good.
And Marvin, to your point, Marvin, I just had this conversation the other day with Mackay on his 16th birthday, right? In fact, I had been listening to Bishop Noel Jones on the way over to his house. The Bishop was preaching from leaving those things behind. I press forward towards the mark of the half fast. And he was explaining it how you get comfortable, because you talked about comfortableness, right? So you get comfortable in a situation, but you can't become great unless you put yourself in uncomfortable positions.
Absolutely. Everett, that's one of the main reasons the graveyard is the richest place on the planet. Because it's in the graveyard that you find all the talents and skills that people never reach for. And Ray stated that he was going to use up his greatness. He told his mom, "Oh no, I got to use this stuff up." And so yeah, the comfort zone. You got to constantly stretch, challenge yourself. And I'm learning now, Wade. I mean, Everett, at this point in my life, I got to get comfortable doing uncomfortable stuff.
Hey, if we tell the guys, we tell them when they're going from USC and Ohio State to the NFL, we tell them what gets you here is not going to get you there, right?
That's right. That's right.
So what gets you to St. Anthony's, or what gets you to St. John Bosco, what gets you to Milliken or Mater Dei is not going to get you to USC.
Wow.
And whatever gets you,
I tell you what, Everett.
Leave.
Yeah.
You have to keep putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, and then you go get help.
That's right. Say that
Say that
again.
Yeah, and then, to get through the uncomfortable situation, go get help.
One of the great basics in being successful is called the teachability index, and it simply states this: what's your willingness to be teachable or coachable on a scale of 1 to 10? And in order to be in boss, your teachability index should be a 10, since that's a choice. And then, what's your willingness to accept change in your life on a scale of 1 to 10? Because see, most of us would like to have that career Wade had, but we don't want to pay that price, and we don't want to listen, and we don't want to change. So Wade, can we add this to your list of books? I think this is, you cannot leave this planet without reading this book. It's by Napoleon Hill. It's called Think and Grow Rich.
Already ready.
Think. Hey, well, turn your peers onto it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I see very clear now that Wade's attitude that stems from his philosophy drove his life. Because his philosophy was, I gotta succeed. His attitude is, I'm not gonna succeed, which led to the activities in his life which produced the results in his life that gave him the lifestyle. It's called the 5 pieces of the life puzzle.
That's wonderful. Hey.
All right.
So we could go.
What a great call, Everett. What a great call.
Yeah. We can
about 3 hours. We about 3 hours in, and most of the people stayed.
Yeah. We can have certain people still with us. But yeah, we gonna pick it up next Saturday, guys. We have Harvey Mason Jr. joining us next Saturday. Harvey Mason is a Grammy Award-winning writer, producer. He's worked with Aretha Franklin, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Chris Brown, Beyonce. He wrote the soundtrack for The Wiz and Jennifer Hudson. And he played basketball at Arizona and was on the Final Four team with Steve Kerr. So he's a Grammy Award-winning songwriter, producer. In fact, if COVID hadn't hit, we would be over his studio next Saturday. Instead, he's going to join us online, and then once things break, we'll go join him at his studio.
Hey, Everett. Can all of us give a big shout out to Marcus FARROW, because I think he did a great job orchestrating this call.
Hey, boss clap. Hey, boss.
I appreciate you, my brother.
No worries. All for the cause. Wonderful. It was wonderful.
Wow. 3 hours, Everett. We was talking 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, boy. You pretty good, Wade. Wow.
All right, guys. So enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we'll talk soon. I'll talk to you, Wade.
All right.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye,
Mr. Everett. Bye, Mr. Everett.
Thank you. Bye, Mr.
Bye,
Everett.
Mr. Everett.
Bye. Thank you, Mr. Everett.
Bye, Mr. Everett. Thank you.
Thanks.
Wow. Okay, 3 hours, folks.
Wow.
Wow.
I just want to thank the guys for being so attentive.
Wow, man. Hey, I tell you what, Wade, that's outstanding, man. You them folks that you held their attention that long, man. Wow.
A great story. I commented that it's a great story.
My phone done died. I'll call you as soon as I charge it up, Wade.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Everett. Thanks, Marcus.